Oh my, do we have a lot to talk about. What's going on, Birds fans? Today we are breaking down everything we have learned over the course of, 48 hours with the Philadelphia Eagles, the biggest signings, extensions. We are tier ranking them S to F tier. Joining us, he is Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA. What's good, Ryan?
Not much, man. It's a crazy day. Noon kicked off, and the first 3 minutes, nothing happened, and then all of a sudden, the floodgates. It was awesome. I love this time of year, and man, the Eagles did some surprising things. That's for sure.
They did some things. Also joining us, Rob Langy at Philly_Madness on X. What's up, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what we expected, right? The Eagles is just spend high on a position they never do, and it's spend a lot of money on day one. And now, man, I tell you what, it was fun. It was a fun few hours. We're gonna break down all that stuff, and good start to the off season. We knew they had to go out big, and they did. They did.
Howie season, man. This is his time to shine. And then we got a special guest. My man Phil from Trending in the AM. Go give him a follow on X at Bearded Knowledge. What's up, man?
Man, when Landon Dickerson signing the richest contract to a guard in NFL history is like the third biggest news of the day, you know it was a pretty bold day in Philadelphia Eagles.
Man, I'm back. I never really left, but man, it's football's back, man. It's nothing better. Guys, if you're watching us live, please be sure to comment your reaction, your thoughts on this. Grade every single move. That's what we're going to be doing here tonight. Daniel's in the house. What's going on, Daniel? Now we focus on defense in the draft. We're going to talk about some philosophy changes today, and hopefully one of those leads to maybe Edgerrin freaking Cooper on that day two, top of day two range. Wouldn't that be great? Because a lot of the linebackers, they're gone, man. There's not a lot left for the Philadelphia Eagles. Barkley is a make or break move. We're going to get into that in just a second. They are paying Barkley how much? And do we try to get a center in the draft? No. But I think getting a right guard for the Eagles is absolutely on deck, because if they can get someone to pave the way for Saquon Barkley in between those tackles, like a Jackson Powers Johnson, why not? Let's jump right into this thing. We have a lot to talk about tonight. Leading off, the biggest shocker of the day, without a doubt, was Saquon Barkley going to the Philadelphia Eagles. 3 years, $37.75 million, putting him just behind Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, and Jonathan Taylor for the one of the richest contracts for a running back. Some important stats: fifth most rushing yards over expected between the tackles. He did average 3.9 yards per carry in 2023. Not great numbers, but you got to consider that quarterback. You got to consider the O-line. He allowed just 2 sacks in 2023, 1 in 2022, and 0 in 2021. A great pass blocker, and he just turned 27 years old. Pros, you got to start with the differences between the New York Giants run blocking and the Eagles run blocking, literally going from number 31 and number 26 the last 2 years to number 1 and number 2 the last 2 years in Philadelphia. And he's quite simply that third down back this team has lacked for a long time. Cons, quite the philosophical shift from Howie Roseman. I'm still shocked they made this move. I heard the rumors. I didn't necessarily believe them. He did miss 8 regular season games since that ACL tear in 2020. He missed 3 games in 2023 due to an ankle injury. And, of course, can he get back to his rookie form? I'll throw it to you, Phil. Lead us off, man. How would you grade this move? What was your reaction?
Great. I hate putting grades on day one on stuff, but for the benefit of this show, I'm gonna say it's a B move. Okay, because it's either going to turn into an A+ move or an F, and we just don't know because of all the cons that you listed there. I'm gonna add something to the pro list that you had graphic wise that no one's talking about. The ankle injury this past year, any of the, what's he missed, 7 or 8 games, you said, the last couple of years?
Yes.
He is not going to be playing 8 to 10 games on the MetLife turf anymore. And that could. Everybody talks about the Eagles' offensive line being better than the Giants. It's obvious whatsoever. How much better can Saquon Barkley be only playing now one time a year on that MetLife turf? That's something that I don't know. I feel like it's not talked about enough, and maybe I'm undervaluing what he does. I'm shocked that they spent that kind of money on him. I don't know if it's the right thing. If our defense stinks next year, we might be looking back at the Barkley's contract as a reason why. But you know what? I'm on board. I wasn't on board, but I am on board. It's just got huge risk, huge reward potential to it.
We have a comment in here, Jason saying, God damn, Phil looks sexy tonight. Trying to be the specs.
Oh, man. Somebody had a joke about the glasses. But if I take them off, I can't see the screen.
I love it. All right, B tier for Phil. Rob, what's your grade?
Listen, maybe I'm just a little giddy, but this was a move that I had as one of the top 2 or 3 moves I wanted to see the Eagles do in free agency. I got really on board with it over the last week or so, thinking about it. So I would probably put it in an S tier. And here's why. You know, the Eagles have not spent on a running back that often, but when they have, it's been for guys that were difference makers. LaShawn McCoy was a difference maker. We could say whatever we want about how it ended here. It wasn't because of lack of talent. It was because Chip Kelly was an ass. I mean, let's be honest. Like, that was where it came down to. When you have weapons like this, you don't need to feed him 25 times a game. It's not an incentive-laden contract, so he doesn't need to touch the ball that much, which, guess what? You might have just prolonged your career coming here. Not to mention, as Phil said, and as we've talked about, the offensive line is much better. It's a better team. It's probably the best situation he's been in from top to bottom, honestly, when you think about it, because what's he been through? 3 or 4 coaches over there, Daniel Jones, Tommy DeVito, like these are the quarterbacks he's been with. Now he gets another running threat next to him constantly. Like to me, this was a home run move. I think the money looks big, but I have a feeling that the way it's structured is it's not as big as you think. I've heard a lot of conflicting reports at this point about how much it is per season. But look, they needed to do something, right? Everybody was pissed off at the combine when they said, oh, well, we don't have to touch the offense. The offense is fine. Obviously, they didn't believe that. To make this philosophical change move, they didn't believe that. And now you've just added another weapon to an already should be prolific offense. Listen, I'm all on this move. Super pumped. Maybe it burns you, but guess what? Hindsight's always 20/20. Right now, this is a tremendous, tremendous move.
All right. S tier for Rob. I put it right in the middle. A tier right now. Ryan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's where I'm going. I'm going right in the middle. A. This wasn't necessarily on my radar. I mean, obviously, just like everyone here, I heard the rumors. I heard the potential that they were interested in him. And listen, I think if we take out, we take out the money aspect of this and we just look at the player, we look at the talent that's being added to this team versus potentially what we had last year. And listen, we all loved Swift and he was underutilized. He's a local kid, blah, 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 blah. Barkley is better than Swift. He is. And regardless of however much money they gave him, let's be honest, we may be shocked at the numbers at first, but we also have to realize the man behind those numbers. That's Howie Roseman. And if there's one thing that we trust in Howie, it's that he is going to manipulate that cap however the damn well he pleases. So I'm not necessarily all that worried about the money. I think I was originally, but I've gotten over that. And we look at Barkley. Phil made probably the best point. He's getting away from MetLife Stadium. That place just ruins careers. He's going to be able to, come behind a 100 times better offensive line. I think this is a fantastic move. I'm perfectly fine with adding to this offense, bringing another wide receiver, bringing a tight end too. And honestly, outside of figuring out who's right guard, this offense would be the best in the NFL. Just plain and simple. I'm sorry. But so this is a great start. I think it's an A. It wasn't necessarily one of my top 5 guys. So I'll give it an A because it was outside of the box. And also the change of philosophy. I don't know whether this is just how he's just toying with me because I'm like, oh, well, maybe if they're willing to spend a little money on a running back that we all never thought that was going to happen, maybe they'll spend a little money somewhere else, i.e. linebacker, which is I've been hoarse from yelling about linebackers for the last 20 years of my life. So maybe this is just a string that Howie's just dragging me along here, but I have hope again. That's all I can ask.
Ryan has hope again. Kevin says Barkley just saved his career from getting away from that artificial surface. Jonathan says Huff is a bigger move than you think. We're going to get into Bryce Huff in a second. Kevin says this guy could be a difference maker. Still need Patrick Queen and CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Well, one of them, not both.
Right.
We'll get into it.
Let's not get greedy.
You can. I'm telling you right now.
Screw
If
it.
Howie Roseman spends money on Patrick Queen after spending that on Saquon Barkley, I'll never know what to think again.
Yeah. Hell has frozen over.
I'll
If
backflips.
Howie pays this much, maybe we'll spend money on some linebackers this year.
Let's go, Q.
The problem is the linebacker in ranking in free agency is
They all
big
went.
time down. It is depleted. Like even Jose Jewell. If you look at, if you believe in RAS scores and how much Howie values that on the Philadelphia Eagles, his RAS score was really low. I just don't see it happening. But I do think it gives us hope in the draft. Edgerrin Cooper, Peyton Wilson, Trevin Wallace, all those guys that are very, very solid. A for Jonathan, for Saquon. Y'all want to know what's funny? I'm going to bet Howie makes the contract says $10 million a year after the first year and leads it into sign on with incentives because Howie is married to numbers. Trade for T. Wiggins, move Smith to the slot. We have Billy in the house. Guys, if you're watching us live, give us your grades for these signings. Let's jump into our next one. It is an A for Saquon Barkley. Next up, let's talk about Bryce Huff. On this one, man, we kind of saw this one coming a little bit, but Bryce Huff signed a 3-year, $51+ million contract that is about an average of $17 million per season. Could go as high as $20 million. Bryce Huff led the NFL in pressure rate in 2022 and 2023. Had a pressure every 6.8 snaps. This guy is a lead on third down, 24.7% pressure percentage. In the Jets' perspective, when the Jets needed a big play, when they needed a sack, they really relied on this dude. He is an ascending player when you talk about pros. He's a guy with crazy efficiency. He played half the snaps of Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat, but was tied for 24th in the NFL in quarterback hits with 21. And then you get to Collins. He's only played 42% of the snaps. Is this guy ready for an extended role? He's not a great run defender. He's not great in coverage. Let's hope they don't do him dirty like we saw with Hassan Reddick and drop him into coverage. Get this guy going forward. Phil, what's your grade on Bryce Huff?
I'm going to grade it as an A. I
Okay.
love the move. It could be even better because I don't know what it means for Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat. Both names have been rumored. I kind of joked this morning that what if Howie decides to I joked this morning that if he signs Huff, maybe he trades both. You know what I mean? And then drafts another young guy, maybe in the first or second round. There's lots of names out there. That is the thing that I'm looking at right now. It's like it's an A on paper, but it could be even better because we don't know what's next. I am concerned about two things. The 42% snaps played last year and the fact that that was his 4th year in the NFL, and it was the first time he really truly broke out. He was it's what they say, the biggest undrafted free agent contract to a non-quarterback. Can he follow up his one really great year with more? They are my only 2 concerns. Outside of that, I think, the conversation that the Eagles front office wasn't happy with the pass rush, towards the end of the season, Sweat and Reddick, maybe they are completely revamping and getting rid of the other 2 guys and going to build around Huff and another young guy. And if that's the case, and Nolan Smith, let's not forget about Nolan Smith, hey, I'm on board. I love it. I think it's a great move. Seeing the other money that went to some other defensive linemen, I think it's a slam dunk play.
Kevin says Huff's a good move. They can move Reddick or Sweat. This move has all the vibes of that, like when they signed Hassan Reddick. Like they're expecting him to outplay that contract down the road and probably make a move in 3 years, just like they're going to do with Reddick or Sweat. That's a great comment. Larry says Barkley is an S. Huff is a B. Let's see what he does with starter reps. Rick says Huff is a great signing. Dickerson, great re-signing. We're going to get to Dickerson next. There's a rumor that Reddick is going to the 49ers. Oof, I don't know how it.
I'm pulling my phone out right now.
I don't know how I'd feel about that one. I am actually on board with trading Reddick, but to the 49ers would be a bitter pill to swallow. Nolan Smith going to have to up his game. Huge year for Nolan Smith. But really, like you saw Twitter, right? We all know Parsons is coming to the Philadelphia Eagles the second he is able to. Howie just made the rest of the NFL hate him more. Howie gets an A+. Mitch says Bryce Huff is better than Tobias Harris. All right, Rob, what's your grade?
I teeter between an A and a B, and a lot of the same reasons that Phil was saying. He only played 400 and some snaps last year. Reddick and Sweat were both over, I think 800 was that. I think that was the number I saw. So that's a little concerning. You always get concerned when you pay a guy off of a career year. I mean, I think the year prior to that was nowhere near the numbers from what I read. But with that said, look, the Eagles are going to move at least one of these guys. I mean, I think that's clear. I think they want to get younger, which I guess makes you think that they're going to try and move Reddick instead of Sweat. But I would love to see them keep, if you can, because I know financially it's a whole different world. But I'd love to get off of the Sweat contract, keep Reddick for another year. If you have to give him a little extension and a little bit more money, could you imagine your top 2 edge rushers being Bryce Huff and Hassan Reddick? It's a scary thought for opposing offenses. But I'm the same as you, Dodge. If they say they're going to move on from Reddick, and they're able to get maybe a 2nd-round pick or something like that really is beneficial for them this year, hey, I can't blame them, and they've done the right thing by bringing Bryce Huff in. Look, the guy was an animal last year. He's got potential to be even better, but like we said, there's a big difference between 40% of the snaps and, a starter's role, and he would be in a starter's role. And, a lot of people talked about them trading both guys. They want 4 or 5 edge rushers. So I don't know if they're going to trade both because they need that 4 or 5 guys. And, I feel like one stays, one goes. But, yeah, I mean, I'm totally fine putting him in the A range at this point.
A range for Bryce Huff, for Rob. Ryan, what do you got?
Yeah, listen, I'm kind of teetering in between A and B. And again, I think it's mostly because of the limited snaps. And he was obviously very productive. This kind of reminds me of Sweat when that year he was barely used, but he was very, very effective. And eventually he got his chance to get starter minutes, and he had a decent year that first year. So I'm hoping he kind of continues the trajectory. And as far as Reddick and that goes, I can't see them doing both. I mean, it's just too much. I mean, unless they truly believe that Reddick and Sweat completely do not fit with what Fangio wants, I think they're going to trade Reddick. I think Reddick is solely a pass rusher. Sweat has at least some run stopping abilities. And, again, Huff isn't the greatest run stopper either. So I think they want to at least try to keep some run stopping ability on this team, in the edge position. But listen, if they can get a second, do it for Reddick, more chances I can get one of those linebackers. Listen, I like Huff. I think I'll go with the A since everybody else is kind of there, since I was already teetering there. But I'm just hopeful. What I've seen on paper and in highlights is something that he can bring to the table on a more regular basis.
All right.
I just want to throw out there. I know Derek Gunn is not in the same role as he used to, but he's normally pretty tied into the team. And he just tweeted out 2 minutes ago, stay tuned. The Eagles still have a lot of interest in CJGJ. So they may not be done yet tonight, boys. They may not be done yet tonight making moves.
Good. Can I also mention Q's last comment?
This one?
Yeah. Perfect.
Yo, I don't know who you are, Tech, but you got to come on trending in the AM in the comments tomorrow. Just for Mitchie Poo.
Dude, Q is
Q's
the absolute best.
Yeah, Q's
Right.
legit.
So funny. Quentin, make sure you join Phil's show, Trending in the AM on Philly Sports Network. 8 a.m., right?
Yeah, 8 a.m. every morning. And Mitch puts every single name he can think of is greater than Tobias Harris all morning long, every single day in my comments. Literally 10 different names every day. So somebody needs to put that in my comments tomorrow just for Mitch.
Nice.
I love it. FYI, I did look. I just went through during both of you guys talking. I did not see one rumor of Reddick to the 49ers. I tried to look it up. I paged through like a lot of Twitter just now. Did not see a single thing about it.
Good. That's what I like to hear. That would be heartbreaking.
Jordan Davis is an improve-it year. Not impressive his first 2 years, but Clint Hurt is the guy to get the best out of him. Huge year for Jordan Davis. I wouldn't even be surprised to see the Eagles look at defensive tackle in this draft and add to that rotation because Milton Williams is on the way out. I'd like to see more snaps for Milton Williams, but that dude's about to get paid. Tech Quentin says
we go 90 minutes 5 days a week, dude. It's okay.
There you go. 9:27. Wake up, type for 3 minutes. You're good.
Yeah.
Todd's thinking Reddick will be moved. Jonathan says we want to build a dynasty. I mean, they got to get younger. They got to get faster on defense. Big Al says guys don't keep it up too late.
Right.
All right. All right. So we're good with A. We're good with A on Bryce Huff.
Yeah, I think A is solid. Yeah.
All right. Let's roll on to Landon Dickerson in this one. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Look at the cons. I couldn't think of any. Landon Dickerson signed a 4-year extension. It is worth $84 million in base with a max value of $87. It includes $50 million total guaranteed, $20 million signing bonus. The dude is just an absolute monster. Led all interior O linemen in run block win rate, 7th best in pass block win rate. Allowed 5 sacks last year on 668 pass blocking snaps per PFF. 46 games the last 3 years. He's only 25 years old. He's going to help Cam Jurgens with that transition to center this year. Phil, what's your take on Landon Dickerson?
It's literally insulting that we had to talk about him third tonight because that is how big of a deal this is. I will give you one con. It's a lot of money for a guard. And the NFL has never given that kind of money. And the money doesn't bother me. You just put up the stat there. He's played, 46 games in his 3 years. That's not a full thing. What was his one MO coming out of college? Every single year in college, he had a season-ending injury. He hasn't had a season-ending injury yet. So there is a slight bit of concern there with the injury. But it's still a slam dunk, no doubt about it. Make him the highest paid guy in another year or so. That contract isn't even going to be in the top 5. So, I love it. I have nothing else to say about it. I just literally jumped for joy when I saw that contract extension for him. It made me so happy.
What about you, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, this is something I think we all expected. I know a lot of people are like, oh, they went with him before Devontae, but remember, you had the 5th-year option with Devontae Smith. You can't have that with Landon Dickerson because he was a second-round pick. So you had to get that one done first. He's deserving because, look, when they made the pick, I was leery back when they used a second-round pick on him because of everything Phil just said. Guy was hurt a lot, was missing seasons a lot, and the Eagles took a chance. And you know what? This one's paid off because he's been tremendous. The left side of our offensive line is now intact for 5 years. With him and Mailata, it's great all the way around. I love it. Listen, all you got to do is get that right guard spot solidified. And yeah, I hate losing Jason Kelsey. He's been tremendous, but this line is still raring and ready to go. Come the beginning of the season.
I love how Howie got the people a little confused here. Voting wise, people thought Devontae would get paid first, but it is Landon Dickerson. Ryan, what's your grade?
Yeah, I mean, this absolutely
It has to, right?
It has to be. I mean, you literally drafted this kid in the second round, and I remember the hate. Oh, come on. This guy can't stay healthy, blah, blah, blah. Why are we drafting this guy? And he has been nothing but one of the best left tackles in the football. He is the only left guard. I keep saying tackle. Left guard to make Pro Bowl in 2 out of his first 3 years, not drafted in the first round. Only player ever to play guard. I mean, we literally have an amazing left side of the offensive line in Mailata and Dickerson, and I couldn't be happier. And this is perfect. The money is whatever. Howie again stretches it out and he hides the money in the closet and throws some in the mattress and wherever. He figures it out. So I'm not worried about it. He deserves it. He's absolutely one of the best.
S tier all around. We go with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Patrick Queen did not sign with the Seahawks.
No, you got faked out, bro.
Fake account, bud. Fake account.
Yeah, a lot of people. I don't know who did that, but
there's 2 or 3 major fake accounts that are out there just trolling people. It's
we could do a whole show about complaining about the fact that there's so many fake accounts now. They've gotten so much bigger. And every single thing, even when the Dickerson news broke, okay, it is the real one. Okay,
you always look.
You have to wait for a second person to do it, and one of those people has to be quasi you've heard of. They've done it before. Schefter, whoever is your trusted guy, but it's got to be one of those before you.
You know what I did was I set my alert for all the main guys. So now when something happens, I just get 5 alerts at once, and that's how I know it's real. If I don't get those alerts, it didn't happen yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
Yeah, you got had today, Dives.
I got duped by Xavier McKinney. I think there was an Xavier McKinney tweet.
Well, listen, so did a lot of people. Some Sport Track, Over the Cap. They all had
I sent the picture. Yeah.
Yeah, they all had it with the Eagles.
What is it? Dove Kleiman on Twitter, who normally is pretty good at tweeting once it's legit. Tweeted out after that whatever guy put it out there, and that was it. And it kind of ran and for about 25 minutes. You weren't the only one. A lot of people got fooled up on that one.
That was I thought that was going to be the triple threat of stealing players from New York.
Oh my God, it would have been awesome.
Billy Covington says, do you think Jeff Stoutland helped him? Yes. Best coach in football. Top 5 coach in Philadelphia, no doubt about it. People were beating him, Big Al, up on the live draft show about Landon Dickerson.
Yeah, hey, listen, a lot of people were doing that. And, again, I thought outside of his injuries, if this man can stay healthy, he's going to be amazing. And he's done nothing but be amazing.
Yeah.
And you know what? In Eagles fans' defense with that, I think we had been soured on the drafting and injury. They seem to do this a lot, and it never panned out the right way. This one did, and damn it, I'm glad it did.
Yeah. Amen.
All right. Linebacker from Titans, we were going after Aziz Al-Shaair. That sucks. He would have been awesome.
He's out.
He's out.
I mean, honestly, there's really not that many linebackers outside of Patrick Queen.
And
They all pretty much signed. Anybody
I was
have
going to say, I think I said in one of our early free agent guys, that I was a Devin White guy. I know he's got his flaws. I know he got benched last year. Would not mind seeing them at this point, take a shot on a guy like a Devin White or even an older guy like a Levante David, one of those Buccaneers linebackers. Why not at this point?
Rufus says with Cox and Kelsey gone, you had to pay Dickerson. He's an elite leader. Now go get me that damn safety I've been screaming about for years, man. That's a great take. Hopefully this is a shift in Howie Roseman, especially at the top of the draft where we never see linebackers and safeties, where you just saw Kyle Hamilton, literally top 5 safety in the league, and Jordan Davis can't stay on the field for 3 downs. So it kills me every single time. I still say it was a disaster class move for the Eagles, man. Kyle Hamilton would be just a god in this city.
I think honestly with that, I think because we traded for AJ Brown so quickly thereafter, I think that didn't get to sink in of the ramifications of not making that draft pick. And we were all just so excited. I remember literally like running around and being like, "Oh my God, we got AJ Brown!" Like literally just sprinting, down the hall. So yeah, I think that was part of it. And now we're realizing, all right, hey, listen, Jordan Davis, get in some shape. You and Carter figure this goddamn thing out, because you two can absolutely be the monsters in the middle, but you need to be able to stay out there.
And don't forget Milton Williams in the middle
there.
True.
Also true. I'm not.
I mean, he could get an extension here in the next few days.
And a Jomo.
That would be a low-key great move. That would be a low-key great move.
I've been a Milton Williams fan since I don't know. There's something about him is always. I always focus on the interior offense and defensive line. I love trench warfare, I always call it. That's always my favorite part of a football team. And I've been a Milton Williams fan since day one, and I just thought he was a guaranteed going to be leaving soon, because you drafted those two guys in Carter and Davis. Can you really extend and keep Milton Williams long term? If you move on from Reddick, you move on from some other guys, you can. And we just said it. Everybody said it. We got to get younger. You keep the young guy in Milton Williams. You know what you got there versus drafting another defensive tackle when you got so many other holes to fill. Keep the guy you got.
When the Eagles drafted Milton Williams, all I can remember is I was in Howie hate mode. So when he went up to whoever, I can't remember who it was in the war room, and he wanted to fist bump him. And he wouldn't fist bump him because he wanted a different player. And I was like, yeah, I'm with that guy. I had no idea anything. Like, I didn't know any pros, cons, but because someone in the war room stood up, and I was like in such Howie's a weasel mode at that point, I was like, yeah, I'm with him. Milton's not going to be any good. And now I'm like, shit.
Yeah. Believe me, if you go ahead and give him an extension, you have, Davis, Carter, Milton, you have a Jomo who we really even haven't unlocked. Your D tackle room it would be set. Honestly, it would be absolutely set. 4 dudes you can just rotate in, give Davis that break when he needs it, when he's out of gas. And
let's not forget, Davis came into camp this year and the start of the season in shape.
Yeah.
So compared to his rookie year to this year, we were all, I mean, I don't know about on your channel here, but every show I did, people were talking about Jordan Davis is turning that corner first week, 2, 3, 4 weeks into the season. And then he didn't. So he came into shape. He just didn't maintain it this year, which was a step in the right direction. So this year he's got to come into shape and he's got to maintain it longer. That's the difference. So let's not act like Jordan Davis didn't have a great first couple of weeks of the season.
Oh no, he did.
He can't try and run down Josh Allen to the sideline because it was after that. That was it. Yeah. That was when that happened.
That really was the turning point. I literally loved that. That was one of the greatest plays of the season.
Yeah.
And that really, literally, he jumped off a cliff.
And he was never the same.
He was never seen like that.
No lie, and this might be a little off time. I kind of feel like he got hurt on that play a little bit. When you saw him fall to the ground, I don't know if he banged his knee the wrong way or something like that. And when I'm a big guy. When a big guy hurts their legs or their knees,
Takes a while to come
the
back.
elliptical that's collecting dust over here starts collecting more dust.
Billy says there's an all-star list of safeties still available. At the end of this, we're going to go over just a couple guys real quick on fits for the Eagles that are still available. Saquon was a great pickup. I expect the Eagles to bounce back. Quentin says the focus on trench warfare is why the Eagles are always in contention. That's straight facts. That's why I love football, man. Football's simple. It's never got strayed away from that. At the end of the day, it's all about winning the trenches. If you remember, I broke my phone when they drafted Jordan. From the beginning. I'm right there with you, man. You could go back to our draft show. It has not wavered.
Yeah.
Simmons played great in Fangio's system. We'd love to see him in Eagles green. Let's jump into our next one. It is Brandon Graham returning to the Philadelphia Eagles on a one-year deal. Brandon Graham, obviously, what more can you say? He is a legend in Midnight Green. He led all Eagles edge rushers in pass rush win rate in 2023. He only played 23 snaps per game last year, but he ranks 4th in franchise history with 73 sacks, and he's returning for his 15th season, man. I thought he had an okay season last year. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but Phil, what's your grade on Brandon Graham?
This is probably a reach for me, but I put it at the top tier, the slam dunk move. Not because of what he does on the field, but because of what he does. You lost Fletcher Cox. You lost Jason Kelsey. You can't lose. We just heard at the end of the year how many cracks might have been forming in that locker room. You had to keep one veteran guy, one leader that these young guys, we're getting younger, somebody that they can look up to, somebody that can help these young men become professional athletes. The things he's going to do in training camp, in the offseason workouts, the things he's going to do in week 10 after losing 2 games, you needed one more. You needed to keep one of those guys. So for that reason alone, because he did have a drop-off last year compared to 2022, there's no doubt about it. But you needed that leadership. You needed somebody, and he's the guy. So I know that's a reach, but that is why, and I know you guys are going to knock him down a peg, but I'm going to start him at the very top there on a leadership reason alone. I think it was a had to do kind of move right there.
S tier for Phil. What about you, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. It's an A-S tier for me. And look, I'll say it selfishly. My emotions could not handle losing all 3 of those guys in 1 year. I don't know what I would have done. It would it was already tough enough to say goodbye to guys like Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelsey. So in that locker room, it would have been tough to say goodbye to all 3, especially once Brandon Graham came out after the playoff game in the locker room and said, I want one more year. I want my farewell tour with the Philadelphia Eagles. You kind of knew at that point he was coming back. It's not because he's going to play. He's not going to play 43% of the snaps again. I just don't see that happening. He'll play a little bit, but he's there to groom the next leaders, to groom the young edge rushers, the Nolan Smiths, now the Bryce Huffs. He's a guy. He's going to be the focal point as far as a veteran presence on that defense. I mean, think about the defense right now. Yeah, you got Slay on the one side, but Brandon Graham's the leader right now. And unless they sign another veteran, it's going to be that way. And even if they do, it's going to be that way. So I'm totally on board with it. I think it's great. I'm going to enjoy giving this guy a farewell tour, and hopefully it ends with a long playoff run for the Eagles.
All right. So Quentin says S tier. Phil says S tier. Rob, you're like A tier?
No, I mean, I was bordering AS, so just keep it at S.
Perfect. What about you? Rod?
Well, listen, I'm not gonna buck the trend. Well, outside of Jonathan, apparently, I'm not gonna buck the trend and
what
say
a curmudgeon.
I know, right? Listen,
that's normally my job.
Yeah, you have to look at it. You have to look at it for what it truly means, and not the player that Brandon Graham is or is going to be in this upcoming year. I assume his snaps are going to be way down. He's going to basically just kind of fill in when he can, and again, kind of hopefully let the Nolan Smiths of the world get some more snaps. But yeah, it's got to be an S tier for what he brings to the table as a leader, as a man in this community, for everything that he has done for the city of Philadelphia, for the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, this man's an absolute legend, and Rob's right. I don't think Philadelphia could have handled losing 3 out of the 4 horsemen in one offseason. That just would have been too much. It's already too much losing Kelsey and Cox. So yeah, give him S tier. Let him go out on top. Let him do his farewell tour. And who knows? Maybe we can get him a trophy.
Can I add one thing to it? Could
Yeah.
he wanted to play one more year?
Yeah.
Could a Philadelphia have handled Brandon Graham going elsewhere to play out? So you got to add that to the equation as well. Like
True.
talking $4 million in today's NFL with a $6 billion salary cap.
Right.
You know, it's nothing. You know, we would have been more upset with him leaving to play elsewhere than him.
Oh,
you know,
absolutely. You're absolutely right, Phil. And the fact that he was signed for $4 million. I mean, that's a steal and a half. I would do that every day and twice on Sunday to bring him back for his final year. So, forget who it was, Jonathan. Quit, lighten up, be happier, smile.
All right. What do you think about Isaiah Rodgers? Anybody have any quick thoughts on Rodgers?
Is he low risk, high reward?
Yeah,
high reward move.
I mean, I think he can help you. He can help you at cornerback depth. I don't know if he can play the inside, but I'm sure they're going to give him a shot.
I think he's more of an outside.
He played like 130 snaps in college in the slot decently.
I mean, my guess is they're going to give him some sort of an opportunity. Look, when they got him last year, it was for him to play this year. It was not. It was not to just let him ride the bench. And I think he's got a little bit of return game, they said, in him. He's returned kicks in the past. So I don't know. I mean, I'm intrigued by the guy.
Quentin says Phil is going to make me get up at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Trending in the AM.
No idea what 8
Let's
a.m. at trending in the AM is like, man. It's wild.
Rick says Rodgers going to slide into the slot cornerback. We'll find out this summer, man. I have my doubts.
I think he's the starting slot at this point on this team.
Maybe.
Really interesting.
Depending on what other moves are made in the cornerback department.
Sure.
At this moment, he's the starting cornerback.
Better than Maddox. He's not even on the team. I agree. Big Al says bright side of moving from the vets is the changing of the guard. Time to see what this team can do. Time to see what the kids can do. Let's get the kids on the field.
What do the Phillies call it? The daycare?
Yeah.
You know, we got to get our own daycare in here, you know?
No, yeah, you're right. I mean, there's a lot of youth on this team that needs to step up and shine. And we're about to add another bunch of really nice draft picks, hopefully. And yeah, this team's going to be much different than it was last year.
For the better. BJ and Lane are two generals. My man Coyle's in the house. What's going on, man? S tier, especially for that money. And
that's a trash talk. That's great.
Did you give your thoughts on Graham? I forget.
Who?
Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's roll on to our last.
Okay. Clearly, it was very memorable.
Dimes has a way of making you feel really bad about
it. I know, right? Jeez, I was just going to go cry in a corner.
All right. Let's roll into I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong. Zack Baun. Is that how you say it?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Baun?
He's not going to he might not even be on the team week 1.
Yeah. He's a guy. 1-year deal. He had his most productive season in 2023. When I was looking up his scouting report in Wisconsin, it was interesting. He was he had a player comp to Hassan Reddick. So that's worth noting. 30 tackles, 2 sacks, 4 quarterback hits, 2 pass breakups, a pick, 15 pressures, and 13 run stops in 2023. He is 27. Expected to be a little more on ball. Sam linebacker here for the Philadelphia Eagles. Good athlete. He was a former quarterback. This is one of those moves that make you scratch your head. Is a Hassan Reddick move in the near future? 1,000%. All signs point to yes, if I had to guess. Ryan, what were your thoughts? Or I'm sorry, that's Phil. What are your thoughts?
Wow.
I'll go easy here. I said when I saw
Yeah.
who. So I did. I will say I did think about it for a few seconds. Okay. Sean Bradley. Everybody forgets that he's coming back off of a major injury. Special teamser. This guy's a special teamer. Could this be an insurance policy in case Sean Bradley does not get back to his borderline, not elite, but borderline elite special team play? You need guys like him who could play on special teams. So that's the best I could come up with to justify this move. That's all I came up with right there. I put it at a C or something like that. I don't know.
C for Zack Baun.
I don't know. I tried to come up with something there.
The second they made this announcement, all I could think of was, for some reason, I was thinking Lloyd Braun from Seinfeld with Costanza going, Braun!
Serenity now.
Serenity now. You never could compete with Lloyd Braun. So good. Rob, what's your grade on Zack Baun?
It's funny because early on you guys were talking about Howie changing his philosophies, and when this move went down, I went, well, still doesn't give a shit about linebacker. Like, it was the first thought I had. First thought I had was, nah, this is such a him move. I do agree. I think that he is a roster tryout for special teams and maybe some depth. I can't imagine this is the linebacker move they're going to go with. If it is, God help us. It doesn't matter who's on that offense because we're going to give up about 60 points a game. But I don't know. What's our lowest?
Right now?
F.
F? Yeah, put him at an F. I nothing about this move makes me happy at all. At all.
Wow.
Damn.
An F for Lloyd Braun.
Yeah, because it just is another sign that linebacker is just a ho-hum position to this front office, and I'm going to be pissed until they show me something different.
All I'm going to say is this little picture you got of him on here, because it's so small on my screen, it looks like the dude from Criminal Minds. Like, wow, what was the one guy? All the chicks watch the show for him. I forget his name.
Shermer or something.
Yeah, it looks like him there.
Yeah, I know.
So bump him up to a C+ because maybe he's good looking or something.
Oh man.
All right. So I'm going to throw him in the middle there. D for Zack Baun. Ryan, what's your grade?
Well, I'll say it a couple of times just in case if you don't remember me talking. But I'm gonna keep it at a D. As Rob said that beautifully, that if this is their linebacker free agency move, we're in trouble. We're in absolute trouble. This guy coming out of Wisconsin, I thought this guy had potential, and he has done absolutely jack, you know what, in the NFL. And listen, I think, yes, he is a decent special teamer. He definitely can come in. Him, and if Bradley is able to stay healthy or come back healthy, I think the two of them could really improve the special teams game. This is a guy I don't want to see the actual field, on first or second or third down. So if that's
this might be one thing for Mitchie Poo to say is not better than Tobias Harris.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, listen, I don't know how you can think this guy is better than Shermer Moore. There we go. Nice. Or Shamar Moore. I don't know how to pronounce it. Whatever. Yeah, listen, this moves the needle so little it might go backwards, but it's a signing. It's something. Special teams, whoop-de-doo.
All right. So overall, for the sake of time, a very solid day for Howie Roseman. 2 S tiers, 2 A tiers, a D tier. Big Al saying my grade is a Z if he's a starting linebacker. Special teams is a D. Not a lot of people are high on Rick Vaughn.
They don't even know the guy's name.
Rick Vaughn.
Rick Vaughn pitched for the Cleveland Indians.
Not Charlie Sheen.
Ricky Vaughn.
He's the wild thing in Major League.
Yeah, come on, Wild Thing.
He was the Cleveland Indians pitcher who was incarcerated.
Yeah, Lloyd Braun,
Played in the
Ricky
penal
Vaughn.
Yeah.
Ricky Vaughn.
Whatever. Sure, we have Sherman Moore, the guy from Criminal Minds. Whatever. Well, who is this guy?
Unreal.
Rick says Edgerrin Cooper or Trot Jr. are the two linebackers who would improve this team immediately. Absolutely. A lot of people chiming in on CJ being an Eagle before midnight.
There's a lot of heat on Twitter right now about it. A lot of heat.
Well, because Derek Gunn isn't a guy that just tweets the tweet. That's why I think there is. When he says something, it's more than smoke when Derek Gunn puts something out there.
Outside of him, I've just been checking. There's probably about 3 or 4 halfway.
He's like Jim Salisbury with the Phillies. Like all the national guys could say something's happened with the Phillies, but until I hear it from Jim Salisbury, I don't actually believe it.
No more wild things in Philly. All right. Where is my linebacker and safety? Could be Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Could be Justin Simmons. Let's get into that. We'll just go round the horn. 1 to 2 guys that you think would be good fits in Philadelphia. Not a lot left, especially at linebacker. There are some safeties out there, though. Lead us off, Ryan. Who's your guy?
Listen, as much as, and Jonathan just said it, Queen is a must. As much as I would love to bring in Patrick Queen, it's just not something I see feasible. I think maybe a Baker from Miami, Vic Fangio connection. I think he'd be a really good fit for what the Eagles are looking to do and would fill that role. He's certainly somebody, and I'm going to say a name that probably might get me a little hate, but he's still 28 years old, I believe. It's Jamal Adams. He's kind of had a little bit of a down year or so with Seattle, but listen, he's not that far removed from getting into the right system again and being that top tier type of safety. And honestly, I think knowing he's coming off of down years, I think we could save a little money in that. Not have to pay super crazy 17 million McKinney money, but it's just I figured I'll say a safety off the beaten path because I know nobody will mention him.
Jamal Adams for Ryan. What about you, Rob? Do you have any guys?
Yeah, I got 2 safeties, 1 linebacker. The 2 safeties, I'll do them quick. You've mentioned them, Dives. Justin Simmons, I know he's older, but this is a guy with Fangio's past. He's a solid vet. He knows how to play the position. He knows Fangio's defense. I think probably had some of his best years under Fangio. Would not mind at all them bringing a veteran safety because we've talked about that room and that it's young, that it's unproven. It'd be nice to have a proven guy. Judging by his reactions throughout this, Phil won't like my other name, but it is CJ. And the main reason why I am for this is because one thing this defense lacked last year was a dog. They lacked a dog. Nobody had that dog in them. I know CJ's a pain in the ass. I know he runs his mouth, but the guy is a dog. And I think the young guys on this team need a little bit of that around. So I'm fully on board if it's CJ. Look, I would sign both of them because I think you need 2 safeties. In my opinion, they won't. They'll sign one or the other. Linebacker, I've been banging the table for this guy for a few years now. I know it's a risk, but give me Devin White. Why the hell not give this guy a shot here? I think it would be a nice move. See what can happen. Give him a prove-it deal and go from there.
All right. Rick says Justin Simmons played his best football in Vic Fangio's system. Rudy Poo says I'll sign Simmons for the cheap. Cam Curl is still out there. He's not been signed. What about you, Phil? Who are some of your guys?
First, the CJ or whatever. It's only because of how he left here that I don't want him here. Like everybody hated this guy because he ran his mouth so much. I actually think smarter signing of him than Justin Simmons, just because he's a little bit younger and all. But I'd rather Justin Simmons because he's got the Fangio and he hasn't run his mouth and badmouth the fans and badmouth the organization. I'm always in the boat. If you don't want to be here, I don't want you here. And he wanted to be here, then he didn't want to be here. Talk too much smack. Just I don't want that. We already had a iffy locker room last year. There's still some guys from when he was here 2 years ago. How is that, gonna go over? That's why I don't want him. Linebacker, obviously, I'm actually kind of swinging with you on the Devin White. Didn't like the idea, but I'm kind of, because of everything. I think they draft a linebacker, though. I think that's where that is. I'm just going to throw offensively. We need a third wide receiver. Tyler Boyd's on my list. Really want him. We need a second pass catching tight end. And I saw somebody talking about on social media about Saquon Barkley if we go back to a 12 personnel type offense.
They were so good in it.
I'm sorry?
They were so good in it. They just never did it.
Absolutely. And Stahl and Calcaterra aren't it. An under the radar name, a guy that I had so much thought and hope for when he came out of college, and he's kind of floundered around a little bit, is Mike Gesicki. And I think you get him super, super cheap. He can catch. He can run the routes when Dallas Goddard gets hurt, and he will get hurt. He could slide into that role for 2 or 3 or 4 games, and he could be. You can have Goddard, Stahl as your blocker, and Gesicki there for when Goddard goes down. So I'm going to go Boyd and Gesicki just for that reason, to bring a little offense into the conversation here today.
All right, some Devin White love in the chat. Cam Curl. Cam Curl's more of an in-the-box kind of safety, if that's what you're looking for. Nothing against Cam Curl. He's terrific. It's kind of why I wanted Xavier McKinney really bad for the Philadelphia Eagles.
That was my number one move I wanted today.
Really?
And that's the only reason why I'm even in a slightly bad mood, because I would have given all our money for Xavier.
Yeah, McKinney's a guy that can like hang out back there and kind of cover a lot of ground, which is what the Eagles really need. They do not have that kind of guy. Dalton Schultz would be a good backup tight end if he's available. Was Phil poo-pooing on the Saquon signing? No.
Stop it, Marshawn.
No.
Marshawn knows me all too well.
The only guy I'll throw out there, you guys hit on a lot of it, but the guy I'm looking at linebacker is Willie Gay Jr. He's a guy that has a 9.73 raw athletic score. And if you go back to our show last week on Birds of the Round Table, like Shane broke it all down, like how he utilizes that maybe to a fault. And Willie Gay Jr. is a terrific athlete. If you go back to some of like the last several years, like they draft based on raw athletic score, and Willie Gay Jr. Is a guy that is looking for a pay raise. He played for the Chiefs last year, and that's kind of that mold I think the Eagles are going after, especially youth on defense. So Willie Gay Jr., just a guy to keep an eye out for, because there's not a lot left out there. Yeah, Rob.
Out of the box idea. The guy's been a safety his whole career. Wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles like to bring him in as a linebacker. He's a name we've mentioned for years. His name is Jeremy Chin. Out of the box idea to move his position, because I know as a safety he doesn't fit for Fangio. But if he was willing to move his position, would be very interesting to finally bring a guy that they've had interest in the past to come over here.
We're getting some Josie Jewell comments. Josie Jewell, his raw athletic score. Again, if you're big on reading the tea leaves, Josie Jewell's raw athletic score was a 5.67. So not great. I think, what was it, Ryan? Like it was 9 or higher, basically the last several years. Ryan, you're muted, man.
9.1, I believe it was, or higher.
9.1 or higher. So take that for what you will. Patrick Queen is still available.
I mean, I'll take it all day long, and twice on Sunday, and I'll do a backflip live on air. And then you can see me go to the hospital after I not like it. I'll do it. I'll do it. If that's what it takes, I'll do it. I'll do it.
All right, let's wrap this up, guys. We're over an hour, man. Sorry, Phil. But Phil, plugs, time's yours. Final thoughts on Legal Tampering Day.
Legal tampering started like 3 weeks ago, and nobody realizes it.
Yeah.
No, man. So we're gonna plug it. Trending in the AM tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. every single day at 8 a.m. on Philadelphia Sports Network. Look, tomorrow I'm going to talk about everything we talked about here, basically, and more. I think Howie had a very aggressive day today, but he had to be aggressive, which he isn't normally on day one. He normally signs one guy, and then that's about it, because he likes to be patient. But with the salary cap rising, so many teams having so much cap space, he had to be super aggressive. I have a feeling whether it's Chauncey Gardner-Johnson or somebody else, by the time I go live at 8 a.m., all this news is going to be moot, because there's going to be somebody else or 2 or 3 other moves done. You have to be aggressive this offseason because of the fact that whatever we had in cap space, what were we, 12th, 13th in cap space? That's insane. So that's why he was so aggressive today. I think he had a winning day. I think the Eagles are better today than they were yesterday. And come in tomorrow morning at Trending the AM at 8 a.m. and we'll talk about it some more.
All right, best morning show there is in Philly sports. Go check it out. Trending in the AM. Go follow him on X at Bearded Knowledge, man. Thank you so much for joining, Phil. As always, Rob, final thoughts, plugs, time's yours.
Yeah, man. Good, very good day. Would have maybe liked to seen a safety or an actual linebacker, not as Dibes calls him, Ricky Vaughn.
Lloyd Braun, Ricky Vaughn.
But overall, really good day that started with the re-signing, the contract extension of Landon Dickerson. I don't believe the Eagles are done. I believe you're going to see another couple moves here prior to the draft so that they can really go into the draft and key in on some players. You can follow me at Philly_Madness. Find me here. We've got some things in the works, Stibes, that we'll be announcing later. But, I'm going to try and up my podcast game a little bit to get to the likes of all these geniuses that I'm on here with. Want to definitely be like them. So, that's it.
Don't point to me on that one. Don't be pointing to me. The guy that made the first comment about my glasses, he likes to say, "I'm just a guy that talks a lot." That's it. I have no knowledge up here. My mouth just goes like this.
I'm yours, right?
Hey, listen. Just wanted to give a humongous shout out to everybody that was talking with us, chatting with us. This absolutely makes our shows so easy for us with all the questions and comments and stuff, and keeps us laughing. So big shout out to you guys out there. As far as schedule, every Monday, 6 o'clock, do a show, Football Smack Talk show. We have this show at 9. Tomorrow, Birds of the Round Table, of course, at 8 o'clock. We're going to be talking a lot more free agency. And then also I'm going to be a guest on Thursday at 5 o'clock on the Fly Eagles Fly podcast with Mitch Kofsky. So we're going to be doing some mock drafting, talking free agent stuff and whatnot. Just make sure you smash that subscribe button on YouTube if you haven't. Thank you, everybody, also for listening on X. Please make sure you follow everybody here and like and retweet everything, because that really does help us out. So thank you again, and shoot it back off to Debs.
Marshawn Lynch has a question. Why does it say aim higher?
Because, Marshawn, my first question is, how have you not noticed it said aim higher like every single morning on every morning show for the last year? So how are you just realizing this now? Just because we need to all be better people. There's no joke about it. I found in my pizza shops, lost and found a hoodie, and it just said aim higher on it. And it's something that I actually think is very motivational. We all need to aim higher to be better people. That's what it says.
Real quick, looks like Joe Mixon just got released.
Because they just signed Zach Moss. They signed Zach Moss, released Joe Mixon.
Oh, wow. Is that the trade-off they're doing, I guess?
It looks that way.
Joe Mixon got released a few days ago.
No, not officially until today. But I mean, we all knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
But...
All right, guys. Thank you, everyone, for watching Party and Broad, Monday nights, 9 o'clock. One last time, go check out Trending in the AM. Trending in the AM at 8 a.m. At Philly Sports Network YouTube channel, wherever you get your podcasts. One last time, Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA. He is Rob Lange at Philly__Madness, and Phil at Bearded Knowledge. I am Dives, Mr. Crockpot. We'll see you tomorrow night. Birds of the Round Table, 8 o'clock. Final plug, slowing down the NFL draft content. I am done with my NFL draft scouting reports. We'll still be doing mock drafts and stuff. But in the near future, me, Sean, and Tiago will be doing NBA draft content coming out very, very soon. So be on the lookout for that.
He never stops, man. It's like the Energizer Bunny.
I love the draft, man.
Can't stop, won't stop.
No. So be on the lookout for that in the near future. Already got a list of guys to talk about. Thank you everyone for watching. Like this video wherever you're watching. For Ryan, for Rob, for Phil, for myself, stay awesome, everyone.